Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today we're jumping right into a pretty wild journey, connecting some massive dots between gaming blockbusters, space infrastructure, and some really heavy market shifts. We've got some incredibly dynamic material to look at today, tracking exactly how these seemingly totally separate worlds are literally colliding right now in 2026, and, what that actually means for us going forward.
Here's a quick look at our agenda. We're going to flow right from the digital escapism of gaming straight into the physical realities of space, and then finally bring it back down to the harsh financial realities of the tech markets. Lots of fascinating ground to cover, so let's just get right into it.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, 2027, Gaming's Golden Year, and a trend I'm calling the strategic retreat.
So the business reality behind all these recent game delays is just fascinating. Publishers are basically executing a massive strategic retreat right now to avoid an absolute financial bloodbath with GTA 6 in February 2027. I mean, think about that for a second. GTA 5 pulled in over $8 billion. $8 billion. Because the sixth one is projected to be this even more monolithic event, virtually every other publisher out there is openly acknowledging that going toe-to-toe with Rockstar, yeah, that'd be commercial suicide. So honestly, the smartest play in the industry right now is just to step back, delay their releases, and stay completely out of the blast radius.
And this great migration creates a wildly stacked 2027 lineup. Everything is safely distanced from Rockstar's juggernaut and, conveniently, universally supporting the anticipated early 2027 Nintendo Switch 2. Look at the staggering scale of these titles. We've got Capcom's Resident Evil Veronica, and notice they explicitly dropped the word code from the title to signal a total ground-up reimagining, featuring a massive 15 to 20-hour campaign. Then Square Enix is dropping Final Fantasy VII Revelation, carrying an insane $300 million budget and multiple endings based on choices you made across the whole trilogy. And then there's Control Resonant, expanding that whole mind-bending connected universe. Basically, because of this massive migration away from GTA, 2027 is shaping up to be, without a doubt, the most expensive and exciting year in gaming history.
Moving right along to Section 2, Indie Games Push Boundaries, specifically looking at Day of the Devs.
While the AA studios are playing it incredibly safe, the indie scene builds this razor-sharp contrast. Out of 1,700 submissions, these indies are pushing wild mechanical innovations that massive studios simply will not risk. Take Screenbound, for example. It literally forces you to play a modern 3D space and a classic 2D retro space at the exact same time. When you move in one, the other pauses. I mean, you are just not going to see a $300 million blockbuster take a creative gamble like that. It's too risky. Then you have Ukulele Kart totally reinventing the racing genre with a mid-race buddy system, and N plus Infinity x2 dropping an absolutely astonishing 5,000 levels for hardcore precision platformers. This perfectly captures why independent developers are the true lifeblood of innovation in this space.
All right, transitioning from digital worlds to physical frontiers. Section 3, Space, Progress and Peril. Let's look at the stark realities up there right now.
Look at this juxtaposition. It's actually kind of crazy. On one hand, we're looking at the future. SpaceX gearing up for a historic IPO, eyeing a $250 to $300 billion valuation because they desperately need unprecedented capital for their Starship and Mars missions. But right next to that, we have the current reality, the International Space Station, which is a 28-year-old piece of infrastructure dealing with a severe, actively worsening air leak. It really is a profound look at an industry caught right in the middle, between wildly ambitious expansion and aging, frankly dangerous hardware.
So Elon Musk is pleading for expansion capital, right? But the index providers, they did not budge. They prioritized strict profitability rules, completely denying SpaceX instant access to those passive fund billions to preserve the benchmark's integrity. The S&P 500 outright refused to bend its rules for the SpaceX IPO. They require consistent quarterly profitability, not just massive revenue that gets immediately burned on research and development. Because of that ruling, SpaceX has to wait a full 12 months post-IPO before they can even be considered. That locks them out of a $15 trillion pool of passive index funds, money that automatically buys stocks just because they're on the list. It is a huge financial roadblock, but it really shows the strict standards needed to protect institutional money from market bubbles.
Meanwhile, back up on the ISS, tracing the escalating severity of the Russian module's structural fatigue shows exactly why astronauts had to use the Crew Dragon as a literal safe haven this past Friday. Guys, this isn't some sudden Hollywood emergency, it's a slow-motion decay. Look at this. The first leak was found way back in 2019. By 2021, they were slapping on temporary sealants. By 2024, astronauts were having to shelter in place. And now, here we are in 2026, and 5 crew members literally had to evacuate into the docked SpaceX Dragon capsule, using it as a lifeboat, while Russian cosmonauts scrambled to patch the aging Zvezda module. This timeline visually proves, without a doubt, that the station is operating well beyond its lifespan. Pushing for commercial replacement stations is no longer just a cool idea. It's an absolute necessity.
Okay, pulling things back down to Earth. Section 4, Markets and Tech Volatility. Let's talk about this massive $1.6 billion wipeout.
I absolutely love tracking cause and effect like this. This chain shows perfectly how surprisingly good news, a really strong jobs report, crushed hopes for rate cuts and totally drained market liquidity. Let's walk through it. Step 1. The U.S. economy adds 285,000 jobs. Fantastic news on Main Street, right? But step 2, because the economy is running so hot, the Federal Reserve takes a hawkish stance. They keep interest rates elevated to fight inflation instead of cutting them. Step 3, institutional investors see those high rates and immediately rotate their capital out of risky tech and crypto, parking it into safe, high-yield bonds. Which brings us to step 4, that sudden exit of money drains market liquidity, triggering a violent cascade of liquidations, forced selling for anyone holding over-leveraged crypto positions.
And the result? A massive, forced liquidation episode in just 24 hours. A staggering $1.6 billion wiped out, just like that. Bitcoin took the heaviest hit at $534 million, with Ethereum right behind it at $412 million. What this data is really telling us is that crypto is increasingly trading like a highly sensitive tech proxy. When macroeconomic data like a simple jobs report shifts, the ripple effects can violently reset the entire market in a matter of hours. It's wild.
Just to cap off the tech news on a slightly lighter visual note, Google has finally unified its ecosystem, bidding a permanent farewell to the iconic red Gmail envelope. They've completely rolled out their 4-color material design palette, the blue, red, yellow, and green, across the entire workspace. And hey, I know some of us are really going to miss the nostalgia of that classic red envelope, but the goal here is absolute visual consistency. Whether you're opening Docs, Sheets, Drive, or Gmail, you immediately recognize that you are locked into the interconnected Google ecosystem.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought to ponder about the chaotic but honestly thrilling road ahead. We've seen an entire entertainment industry strategically restructure itself around a single video game release. We've seen actual astronauts relying on commercial lifeboats because legacy space infrastructure is literally cracking under pressure, and we just saw how a single positive jobs report can obliterate $1.6 billion in digital assets overnight. The future is hurtling towards us faster than ever, driven by this crazy mix of immense innovation and sudden volatility. So the question is, are you ready for it? Thanks so much for watching. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll see you in the next explainer.